This is the final chapter of the Vanishing at room 313. Last time, we uncovered two sets of footprints on the ceiling, a mirror that wrote messages on its own, and a wall that whispered a chilling secret. 313 was never a room, it was a door. The hotel thought sealing the hallway would be enough. But some doors refuse to stay closed. They shut down the entire third floor. This wasn't just a simple lockdown, it was a full-scale quarantine. Heavy-duty locks were installed on every access point. New high-resolution cameras were positioned to cover every angle of the hallway, especially the stubborn door to room 313. And for good measure, 2 security guards were posted outside, around the clock. For 3 days, the plan seemed to work. Silence. The hallway remained empty, the doors stayed shut, and the guards reported nothing but the low hum of the building's ventilation. The owners started to breathe a little easier. Maybe, just maybe, they had contained whatever was inside that room. Then came the 4th night. At exactly 3:12 a.m., the very minute the strange tapping had always been reported to start every single camera pointed at room 313 glitched. The feeds didn't just flicker, they froze, dissolving into a cascade of digital static and corrupted pixels. The outage lasted for less than a minute. When the video feeds snapped back online, the image was crystal clear. The hallway was empty. The guards were still standing at their posts, looking bored and tired. But one thing was terrifyingly different. The door to room 313 was wide open. The guards were frantic. They swore on their lives, on their jobs, that they never moved. They hadn't heard a sound. Not a click, not a creak, not even a whisper of air. One moment the door was closed and locked. The next, it was gaping open, revealing the darkness within. It hadn't been forced. It hadn't been unlocked. It had just opened. As if the concept of being closed was something it had simply decided to forget. The hotel immediately called in a team of digital forensics experts. They needed to know what happened during that lost minute of footage. The investigators spent hours combing through the corrupted data files, trying to salvage anything. Most of it was unusable noise, but then they found it. A single, solitary frame that had somehow survived the glitch. It wasn't a normal image. It was a distorted thermal capture, a ghostly map of heat signatures in the hallway, frozen for just 1.3 seconds. The frame showed the 2 guards glowing warm orange and yellow against the cool blue of the corridor, and then it showed something else. Standing right between them, so close they should have felt it, was a 3rd heat signature. This one was different. It wasn't warm. It was a void of deep, unnatural violet and black, colder than the surrounding air. It was as if this thing didn't radiate heat, but absorbed it, pulling the warmth from everything around it. The shape was tall and unnervingly thin. Its head was turned away from the camera, focused intently on room 313, and one of its long, slender hands was pressed flat against the doorframe. A maintenance crew was sent in with a new, grim objective: tear down the wall, remove the door, and seal the opening with solid concrete. They started with the drywall next to the doorframe, but when they broke through, they stopped dead. Behind the wall, there was no insulation, no wiring, no studs, just a narrow, dark cavity, a space that shouldn't exist. They shined their flashlights into the gap. It led to another wall. Confused, they tore that down too, and that's when they found it: an impossible, empty space. A hollow chamber that, according to the hotel blueprints, had no right to be there. It was wedged between room 312 and 314, yet it was larger on the inside than the physical dimensions of the building should have allowed. The air that poured out was stale and cold, carrying a scent of dust and something else. Something faintly metallic, like old blood. But it wasn't covered in decades of dust. It was wet, damp and cold to the touch, as if it had just been dropped there moments before they tore the wall down. Realizing they were dealing with something far beyond their understanding, the hotel hired a specialist team paranormal investigators armed with state-of-the-art sensory equipment. They didn't dare enter the chamber. Instead, they lowered a sensitive remote microphone into the oppressive darkness, hoping to capture whatever resided within. Then, at exactly 3:12 a.m., the audio levels spiked. A sound erupted from the speakers, so sudden and clear it made everyone jump. It was a voice, but it wasn't quite human. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't a whisper. It was something else entirely, like several different voices: a man's, a woman's, a child's, all speaking at the same time, their words overlapping and twisting together inside a single throat. The message they spoke was short and terrifying. "He's trying to come back." He played it again, listening past the cacophony of the layered voices. The mirror, the one that had been removed and locked in a solitary basement room, the one that once showed Daniel Cross's reflection, shattered its protective security housing. The motion-activated cameras in the room didn't capture the event. The footage simply jumped. One moment, the mirror was encased. The next, the case was broken, and the mirror was standing upright on the floor, leaning against a storage shelf. It was facing the door, as if someone or something had carefully positioned it. A guard doing his rounds noticed the broken case and called it in. When they inspected the mirror, they discovered something new. The back of it, which had always been unnaturally cold, was now warm. And for the first time since Daniel Cross vanished, a message appeared in the condensation on its surface. But this time, it wasn't on the outside. The letters were forming from the inside of the glass, fogging the interior. The message was 2 words: step back. Forensics analyzed the handwriting. It didn't match Daniel Cross's, it didn't match Arthur Hayes's, but it was a perfect match for the nearly unreadable initials scribbled in the margins of the Hotel S original 1971 blueprint. The same initials next to the note that read, "Do not reopen." Someone 50 years ago knew exactly what this mirror was. Someone knew what was on the other side. The following night, chaos erupted in the storage facility. Alarms blared, but not from a fire or a break-in. It was a proximity alert triggered in the basement storage room. Staff rushed down, expecting to find an intruder. The room was empty. The mirror was now lying face down on the concrete floor. Its entire surface was fogged over, thick with condensation, as if it had been brought in from a freezing winter night. And in the center of the fog, a single fresh handprint was slowly appearing. But the print didn't fade. It held its shape, and then it started to change. It grew more defined, pushing outward from the other side. The staff watched in horror as the solid glass began to bow, stretching like a rubber membrane, the handprint pressing deeper and deeper, threatening to tear through. Just as they turned to run for help, the mirror snapped back flat with a violent thud that echoed through the basement. The fog on its surface instantly cleared. The handprint was gone. Everything seemed normal, but it wasn't. There on the dusty concrete floor was something new. A single, tiny, wet footprint, child-sized. As if something had stepped out, stood there for a moment, and then simply vanished into our world. So, what stepped through the mirror? Why was someone so desperate to keep it sealed in 1971? Who is the he that is trying to come back? And the most disturbing question of all, if that was a child's footprint, whose child is it, and where is it now?